died, and they were affrighted because they thought they saw a spirit. Now this is a post-crucifixion account. After the so-called crucifixion took place, Jesus comes to the upper room. He meets his disciples. When they see him, he tells them, Salaam alaikum, and they tell him, they're afraid, thinking that he was a ghost. Naturally, if you see someone and who you heard is dead, and you see him, you think he's a ghost. So the question is, at that point in time, we are told, Luke tells us, they were frightened because they thought he was a spirit. The question is, did Jesus look like a spirit? Did Jesus look like a spirit? The answer is no. So why did the disciples of Jesus think the man is a ghost or a spirit when he did not look like a spirit? And the answer is quite simple. Is that because the disciples of Jesus were not eyewitnesses or ear witnesses to the incident that took place at Calvary. They had heard from hearsay people talking that the master was hanged on the cross. They had heard from hearsay that he had died and given up the ghost. They had heard from hearsay that he was buried and now dead for 3 days. So naturally, any person with such a reputation, you assume that he is dead and buried. Naturally, if you see him, you'd assume that he's a ghost. For example, if someone tells you that one of the brothers here has passed on, let's hope he doesn't, and the next morning he comes up to you, and everybody speaks, it's in the news that the guy's died, and then you see him knocking on your door the next morning. What will you think? You think you're seeing a ghost. So naturally here you had an account. The disciples were not eyewitnesses to what had happened, but they had heard that Jesus had died, so-called, alleged crucifixion. So naturally when they saw him, they thought he's a ghost. So what does he tell them? What does he tell them? He says, behold my hands and my feet, that it is I myself. Handle me and see, for a spirit has no flesh and bones, as you see me have. A spirit has no flesh and bones as you see me have. That a spirit has no flesh and bones, does it mean that it has flesh and bones? He's saying a spirit has no flesh and bones as you see me have. And he says, and he showed them his hand and his feet. And when he had thus spoken, he showed them his hands and his feet. And then he said unto them, have you anything to eat? And they gave him a piece of broiled fish and a honeycomb. And he took it and he ate. To prove what? That he's a ghost? To prove that he's a man. Albert Schweitzer states that if Christ had only eaten, you know Albert Schweitzer, that guy I showed you earlier on, that historian, he said if Christ had only eaten, to show that he could eat, it would be something that is docetic, a make pretense. What the Hindus would call lila, make pretense. Because what did Jesus die for? You see, I steal somebody's pen, anyone's pen or particular pencil case, and Jesus pays for that. But for Hitler's sins, on account of him, 20 million people were incinerated and massacred in the Second World War, and Jesus pays for that. Now that is something. For Peter Sutcliffe, he raped and ripped 13 women, and Jesus pays for that. Now that is something. You get the idea? The greater the sin, the greater the redemption. What kind of philosophy is that? As I answer the question, what I've got here, Jesus Christ in Islam, and a copy of the choice to the brother here. This brother here. If you want a copy. The brother who asked the question. Whoever asked the question, one of you, was it you? Is it you?
Once again, shukran for being here, for addressing us. I hope that we have learned a great deal, and inshallah, we'll hope to get you back to Mafeking, inshallah, preferably at the Northwest University. Once again, thank you, shukran for everybody. There is free literature available there. Before you go, take some free literature, and we end off with a short dua. Sheikh Ismail.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا وشفيعنا ومولانا محمد صلى الله تعالى عليه وآله وسلم اللهم ربنا أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه اللهم ربنا زدنا علما وارزقنا فهما اللهم ربنا زدنا علما وارزقنا فهما اللهم ربنا اجعل جمعنا هذا جمعا مرحوما اللهم ربنا اجعل جمعنا هذا جمعا مرحوما اللهم ربنا اجعل جمعنا هذا جمعا مرحوما اللهم ربنا إنا نسألك إيمانا كاملا ويقينا صادقا وقلبا خاشعا ولسانا ذاكرا ورزقا واسعا وعلما نافعا وسعا مشكورا ودعاء مستجابا وعملا مقبولا وتوبة نصوحا وتوبة قبل الموت وراحة عند الموت ومغفرة ورحمة بعد الموت وعفوا عند الحساب والفوز بالجنة ونجاة من النار. وصل اللهم على سيدنا وشفيعنا ومولانا محمد وآله وصحبه وبارك وسلم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. الحمد لله رب العالمين.